I have the extraordinary Ben Platt on my show today. I feel so lucky to get to share my beautiful friend with everyone right now and talk about all the things that you have been doing since Dear Evan Hansen.
All of the things.
But most recently, you may be as obsessed as I am with his new album called Sing to Me Instead. And Ben is here after literally touring all over the world with this record. Well, my world. He's toured all over my world with this record. Sing to Me Instead is absolutely one of the most beautiful albums, every single song that I've ever heard.
Thank you, Lana.
The fact that my dear, beautiful friend, that so much of that has come out of the head that is sitting right here, and your experiences, and that after all that, like after you wrote it and recorded them with some other unbelievably talented people, you then got to literally tour around our country, as well as England and Canada, like a full-on pop star, like the male Adele, is kind of more than I can even wrap my brain around. So how are you wrapping your brain around it?
It's really bizarre. It's like, I still feel like it didn't really happen because it was such a quick amount of time. It was like 13 shows in 3 weeks. And so it was just sort of go for so long that I didn't really have time to have it settle in. But it was such a purely joyous experience. I'd never had the opportunity to go to places and perform. I mean, most of these places I never performed in any capacity.
Right, even in a show or,
right. Let alone just as myself, which is a very new sensation for me to perform just purely as myself and speaking my own truths and singing my own music. And
it's so Dear Ben Platt.
Well,
that is what the show is, yeah.
Essentially.
It's all you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take this time now that you're like seated, because we can stay here as long as you need. Mm-hmm. You have 2 weeks till you're back on the job. Mm-hmm. Let's like break it down.
Yeah.
Let's totally break it down. There's no one on the planet that hasn't either heard of, seen, listened to, caught clips on YouTube of Dear Evan Hansen. So that is like, if they want an interview about that, there are many of those.
Many.
We have already.
Many.
On my podcast, Little Known Facts.
Yeah, we talked a lot about it.
More than once.
Right in
you were a repeat guest.
Of it.
Yes. And I remember you came over to my house and like played me a few songs on the piano. You're like, I'm gonna go to DC and do this thing. And you're like, I think it's really good. And you know what? You were correct, my friend. But I think a lot of the guests that I've talked to, it's a really big thing to figure out the what's next. Mm-hmm. Like you work toward this moment at a really young age. Mm-hmm. You won a Tony Award, which is the thing you're like practicing in your bathroom for right now.
I mean,
it's really
still,
happening.
even though it already happened, I still do it in my bathroom.
Is there something in your Tony acceptance speech that you wish you had said that you want to say now?
Oh my gosh. I might have thanked my best friend Yale from growing up. I didn't get to say hi to Yale. Hi, Yale.
Okay.
He's the best. But everything else I felt good about. I got the nephews, got the fam.
You did. And also like the fight you about your parents. Like, I would like to fight you about that, but I feel like if there's anyone that might trump in any way Bob and Helen Levine, Mark and Julie Platt, I will give them that.
They're pretty great.
They're pretty great. Although neck and neck, I just have to say that. Fair enough. But you know that I have on many occasions emailed your mom because I think that she is truly the most extraordinary mother who hasn't written a book. So I will personally write to her.
Is she writing a book?
No. Julie Platt, her TED Talk would literally be #1.
She would give a really good TED Talk.
She would, but also just, 5 kids?
5 kids.
5 Platts.
3 extensions now so far. 3 in-law.
Married into. Mm-hmm. Well, that's how you become a Platt.
And 4 nephews so far.
I've been trying to figure that out.
You just marry in. I'm sorry that we can't.
Ben, of course we can. There are so many lies of marriages in Hollywood.
You're right.
But I was saying that your mom, and I bring that up because I think so much of why you've been able to do what you've done and accomplish what you've accomplished with the humility that I can say as a friend who's known you for a long time, pre-Dear Evan Hansen and post. That I think a lot of it does have to do with the wisdom and kindness and calm that surrounded you and your family.
Certainly. I mean, I grew up in a really insular, really warm, really, just nurturing environment, and there was never anything but support for what I love to do. And I think because my dad's in the business as well, there was a real understanding of what it would actually take to make that happen.
Yeah.
And I
Your
think,
eyes were wide open.
Yes, exactly. And so I think as soon as we all understood collectively that I had an ability to go along with how much I loved it and the passion for it, then it was like unending support. And that's probably the only reason everything's gone so well. So.
Right. But why I keep bringing up Julie, and again, this is not the Julie Platt episode, but it's kind of the Julie Platt.
Every episode is the Julie Platt episode.
Is that she does that for all of you.
Yeah, she really does.
Right? And I think that is a remarkable thing. But it's worked out so far really well for you. So you finished Dear Evan Hansen.
Yes.
You win the Tony. And I always think it's kind of amazing to think about, like, when you get the thing you've worked for,
yes,
what's the next mountain?
It was a scary crossroads because that was, as far as like very literal dreams that I've had since I was a young kid, originating a role in a musical and winning a Tony Award was really the only concrete sort of checklist that I had. I mean, I had lots of things I would love to try and things I wanted to do, but those were the only things that were sort of, that I understood clearly enough that like, this is something I definitely would like to do sometime in life.
Yeah.
So the fact that that happened, I then kind of had this panic of, well, now how do I make myself feel challenged and fulfilled and all this stuff? And I think the two main areas in which I felt like I hadn't been stretched were on the one side, doing things on camera that felt as layered and as interesting and as nuanced as Evan Hansen was, or as anything I've done on stage is, and B, sort of ripping away that last vestige of protection of a character and performing, being very exposed and vulnerable in Evan Hansen, but still under the sort of guise of I'm not myself, I'm some other person,
right?
And feeling what it would be like to get rid of even that and do my own material.
So in film and television, The Politician, your show,
yes,
that's an example of you, like you're still playing another character, someone else is writing it, although you're heavily involved.
Totally.
But your album is you, Ben Platt, performing live as Ben Platt.
Yes, indeed.
So I know you as like a major music lover and sort of someone with an encyclopedic knowledge of a lot of genres of music.
Sure, primarily show tunes, but yes.
But other things too, pop and blues and all sorts of things. But yes, of course. Tell me like how the whole thing happened in terms of getting to write this album, and had you written songs, like real in earnest songs, not like brilliant parodies that I've heard you like make up songs for all sorts of occasions, but to other people's.
So you already know the whole story.
I do.
I did. I had never really written earnestly from my own perspective before. I like you were saying, I grew up with my family rewriting theater songs and pop songs for bar mitzvahs and weddings, and like, it's gonna be E for my cousin Ellie instead of it's gonna be me, and like they sang from Company for me, and so I was always fascinated by like scan and lyrics and this idea of like rhyme, and then I was around the inception of Evan Hansen where I watched all these songs get written from the ground up and watched sort of the actual process of songwriting a little bit. And
can I interrupt? Can you like say a couple of things that you witnessed sort of watching that process?
Sure.
Because I might want to write a musical and it would be, let me just write down.
I mean, it was interesting to see. It's also a very different skill than it ended up being just to write music from my own perspective, because when you're writing music for a musical, it's so intertwined with where in the evening does the song come and what do we need to accomplish and where does the character need to start the song and what changes over the course of the song and where does the character have to end. And that's, I think, still the formula for a great song, but not necessarily a pop song. That's not the priority. You don't have to necessarily take a
And it's not 11 o'clock and I have to sing this kind of song.
But I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is like we had this moment at the end of Act 2 where Evan admits everything, words fail, he admits that he's lied to the family and everything.
Oh, spoiler alert, what?
I'm sorry, the whole thing's a lie. And if you don't know by now, then you're too late.
Yeah.
And we used to, for a very long time, it would go from that admission straight to his home where he would have the scene with his mother and then the mother would sing to him and there was no sort of a lone soliloquy moment for Evan. And I think we all felt like kind of a gap in his journey as a character and in how like other people had affected him and he was able to be emotionally open when his mom is pulling it out of him or these other people are, but never on his own and never admitting anything to himself. And so I went in a room with Benj and Justin and we just talked through, they were like, what do you think are the types of things he needs to come to a realization about, or what are the real revelations that should happen in this moment? And we talked about he should realize that it's a lot about his own self-hatred. He should realize that he loves the lie the most because he's hiding behind, he's never letting anybody see the worst parts of him and things like that. And then they went away and came back with that content in that little sort of Words Fail Part 2 soliloquy song. So I think in going into the album and songwriting, it never occurred to me to write about things that weren't emotionally valuable enough to musicalize. Like in theater, I feel like you sing when you can't speak anymore.
You earn it, right.
So for me, that's why it's not necessarily that I set out like I have to make the most devastating, transparent, like confessional album possible. It's more just like, what are the things in my life that are worth musicalizing? And for me, that's not necessarily like chilling at the club. It's more like my heart being ripped apart.
Is that your next album?
Yes.
Chilling at the club.
Honestly, maybe. I really want to do some dancing music because I really love dancing so much. And
Yes.
the only other music that like ingrains in my heart besides like music that makes me want to cry is music that I can't help but move around.
So I said Adele earlier, but the next time you come back, it'll be like Beyonce.
Yeah, or like a Whitney moment where it's like half torch songs, half like 80s dance. So it'd be
Okay.
great. We'll see.
I am in for that. So you made it. This is the lore. You can say if it's apocryphal or true.
Sure.
This is like the game show segment of the episode. I've heard
cards.
there will be. There are no cards here
now. So I'll just
now.
put it up and then you'll in post.
Totally.
Yeah, okay.
It's already done. Bing. I heard that you were making the album through Atlantic Records, the cast recording of Dear Evan Hansen.
Yes.
And an exec. Is it A&R? What did they call it?
It was A&R.
An A&R person.
Yeah.
Sure.
Head of A&R.
I know the lingo. An A&R person came up to you and was like, would you consider making a solo album?
Yeah,
Ben
totally.
Platt.
Yes, I was very involved in that process just because so much of the Evan music is me. So I was just around a lot, and then I met a bunch of different guys. Pete was sort of the point person at first, but he introduced me to Craig Kalman and to Julie Greenwald and a bunch of other people at Atlantic. And they took me to dinner and basically said, we're not interested in just, making the most of this Evan Hansen moment and just like kind of feeding off of that and having you do a cover album of show tunes.
Right.
We think that like...
You're not? That actually seems great.
Well then, good night.
Yes. Check, please. Yeah.
But they were like, we would like to invest in you as like an artist long term and really see, what your voice is like and try some original music. And I think it took that kind of push and faith from people that I had just met for me to then go home and sit at the piano for the first time and think, if I'm going to write in my own voice, what does that sound like?
Are you a journaler? Had you written things in somewhere?
My brother Jonah gave me this really pretty leather journal when he went to Italy, and I was like 13 or 14, and I've used it ever since, but very intermittently. Like there's a 4-page passage from like this girl that I had a crush on at 13, and then the next is like 3 years later, and I'm talking about some boy. It's just, it's like real snapshots.
It's good to be able to track.
It is.
Oh, that's the date.
I was like, oh wow, I had a weird time on that Spain trip. But now I use it as like a little kind of
I can't believe you still have it.
Of course.
Is it a very big journal? How thick is it?
It's not so thick. I'm
you
very...
were not writing that much?
No. Sparingly.
Just the jewel, the pearls.
Yes, just little ideas of like, that would be an interesting idea for a song, or like this idea of people growing at the same time but growing apart, and like things like that.
Did you look at that at all when you started to write the album?
For sure. That's the first place I started. And then a lot of the first ideas that I had something to do with my family or my parents. So the first song I wrote is called Runaway, and it's all about my mom and dad, or inspired by my mom and dad.
Well, they say when you're, I'm not a writer, but they always say sort of for beginners, write what you know.
Yes.
That's like a great kind of entry point to the thing. Mm-hmm. So that was your entry point.
Exactly.
Julie and Mark, who I often email for parental advice and marriage advice and all sorts of it, and basically also aesthetic. I like everything about them. Yes. So you write that song, and you're like, did it just kind of come out easily?
Weirdly, yes. I mean, I think it was a really perfect storm of all of the experience that I'd had growing up, watching other people write music and writing pseudo music of other people's stuff, and just going through the Evan Hansen experience and having all these emotions that I'd never had and wanted to write about.
Yeah.
And I think all of that kind of met at the right moment, and the world of songwriting felt like super accessible to me. It took me a while to sort of the learning curve of just what makes a song go from good to great, and what is a hook, and what's like a really attractive pop structure, and how do you work with other co-writers and things like that as I went along. But I think that the baseline skill of it felt like something that I really had in my pocket.
And then in terms of like the different songwriters that you worked with, is it like Match.com? Like literally?
Kind of is.
Yeah.
Atlantic, so we started with Atlantic set up like a camp, like a writing camp, which was like 2 weeks, every day 10 to 6, and there was a total of like 10 or 12 writers, and each day there's like 3 rooms going with different combos of writers, and I'll spend like 4 hours in one room with these 2 guys writing something, and then I'll go somewhere else and they'll finish that throughout the day, and I'll go see what these 2 people have already started and finish that song with them. And then over the course, so we did like 4 or 5 camps like that in LA and New York and London.
And do you sort of like email them stuff about you? Like how do they even know where to begin? Or are they pitching you or showing you stuff they've already written? Like Like literally.
It's kind of a grab bag of all of that, but it's really just about coming in the room on that first day and saying, this is an experience I'd like to write about, and sharing that experience, or this is a hook that I've had in my head, let's build a song out from it. Or if they come and they say, I have these 3 songs I'm working on, do any feel that they apply to your life? And then I can specify them and make them my own. So it really can go either way.
And like, I know you're friends with Lin-Manuel Miranda and other people who've kind of crossed over like into all these different worlds. Are you showing them as you go, like people that you know or friends, like who are you at the very beginning going, is this good? Like, do you think this is good?
My mom and dad.
Julie and Mark.
Julie and Mark.
Yeah.
Well, my best friend Beanie. And
yeah. Did everyone do what I did, which was listen and then leave you a message that probably you couldn't make out because I'm sobbing as I'm telling you what I think? Like, were more people more audible?
A few. It depended on the song and like the target moment.
Yeah.
But yes.
Yeah. I was at the J Street Metro's Tech subway leaving you, and people were like, do you need assistance? You have it saved? Good. So, no lie, I'm crying through it because it's the most beautiful thing ever. So somehow this happens, this dream of, it's sort of the answer to what's next is kind of a huge departure from what's been.
Yes.
You know, it's interesting because everyone thought in watching Dear Evan Hansen, which maybe will be one of the most remarkable Broadway performances of all time. Like I think of things that will, there's Patti LuPone in Evita, and there's Ben Platt as Evan Hansen, and just these things that will become iconic, and other people will do them, but like, you did it. It's like, do we need another streetcar? We had Marlon Brando, and he did it really well. But I understand that commercially things continue.
Yes, they do.
I think it's really incredible that we thought we were seeing you. That was the thing. Like, this man is showing us all. We're worried about Ben Platt, but we were worried about Evan Hansen.
Yes.
And I think what this answers is like, Ben is actually doing fine.
Yes.
And you gave yourself everything, all of yourself to that part. And then you did it again with this record, and it's just so crazy. Everything you do, I feel like gets kind of presented in a way that no one has ever seen before. Like your performance as Evan Hansen, we never saw people from Broadway shows performing on Colbert and Corden and all these shows and morning shows. Like, it suddenly became this whole other thing. So you did that, thank you. I'm gonna go back and do Lucy from Charlie Brown on all the shows.
Good,
it was only
good.
Rosie O'Donnell, when I was doing You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, really was the place that you could go with your Broadway show and perform from. And now it's changed. Since the 20s, it's really changed, and it was in black and white.
Now you can sing Little Known Facts at like 5:30 in the morning.
Anywhere. But I guess the way you rolled out this album with these videos, like just a couple of songs at a time, and then these unbelievable videos that were really short films and not music videos that told a story and let us in right away on what was so uniquely special and beautiful about this record, not just the song, but the songwriter. How does that happen? And are you involved in the writing of the videos too?
I just was really afraid of releasing any music outside just releasing the whole record, because to me it felt like a project.
Like, will they get it? Will they get the whole arc?
Yeah, it felt like a piece, and I didn't really want it to be like little tidbits, because there was just too many flavors that I cared about. So my management and Atlantic was like, that's just simply not the way things work, particularly because you're a new artist. To just put out the whole album with no precursor to set up the world is not a realistic thing. And I was like, okay, so how about we start these little niblets and tidbits of a narrative that while they're singular, still very much feel like precursors to a greater story or part of one thing. And my best friend, Nick Lieberman, who I've been making like comedy movies and music videos and stuff with since we were 14, I knew immediately I wanted him to direct them all and for them all to feel congruous.
Of one. Yeah.
So we just talked through the 4 songs that we were going to release first, which was Bad Habit and Ease My Mind and Grow As We Go and Temporary Love. And just thought, like, how do we make these interconnected but still stand on their own and still feel like me, but not just literally doing a docu movie about me and my life? Like, how do we make it into a bit of a more of an artful...
So fast forward, if you will, to Ben Platt performing live to thousands of people in different venues as we stated earlier, like all over. And they are singing, like, you know how we go to concerts? Like, hey, Taylor Swift, I know every word to your song and I'm singing along with you. This just happened to you.
Literally just happened.
This
and
just
the
happened.
album only had come out like a month and a half before.
Right.
So I was like, okay, they'll know like, you know, Grow As We Go, because that's the one we're pushing and that's the most
Or there was
popular.
a video and Bad Habit, right.
But like every word to every back song, track, everything.
Yes.
It's insane. I mean, it's absolutely
How
crazy.
do you, so this is when I said, like, we're gonna sit here for a minute and try to like break down in like the most present way, because this just happened. Like, I feel like you know, walked off the stage at the Beacon Theater, maybe you did a couple of other stops.
And then I came here.
And then you kind of did.
I mean, it's hard to fathom. I kept working in moments to take the ear things out so that I could actually hear them, because you can tell that it's happening, but it's hard to actually hear it if I'm singing and if I have my ears in. So I worked in like a couple moments throughout the show, and I don't know. I mean, I think I expected it for the first night because I was in Chicago, and I had done Book of Mormon there for a year, and I felt like I had a relationship with that city, and it was the opening, and I had some cousins there, and
you knew the cousins would sing along.
Exactly, and I just was so afraid to just get the show on its feet. And so once that was done, I was like, okay, that was great, but it'll probably be a little less enthusiastic everywhere else, and it'll be more like
me. And
me.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, it's me administering the story.
Yeah.
But then I get to Detroit, where I've literally never stepped foot in my life, and every single word they know. So it's
there you have it.
It's like it's a form of connection that I've never found in other people's work, that I don't think is possible in other people's work, which made me glad that I had tried to stretch out in a different like lane.
So you've done it. You've done it.
I've done it.
And you've done it well.
Thanks.
And it really speaks to a whole other kind of talent you have for sharing so much of yourself. Obviously, I think, you know, I talk to a lot of friends on the show who are of different generations. Coming out for my older actor friends was a huge deal. Some of them like came out to friends before their family. Some of them were outed. Like, there were a million different ways that story got told.
Totally.
And I know that some of the reaction to this story, the brilliant way in which you just put your truth out with no fanfare, but that the pronoun you used when singing about the person you would be in love with or hurt by is he. Like, it's just that simple.
Exactly.
The elegance with which you did that is extraordinary.
Thank you.
And staggering, because it just is. And that's the hope, right? Like,
certainly.
that we can live in a world where it just is.
It was such a like strange catch-22, because I, in my personal life, have been out since I was 12, and it's never been.
Look at the journal, people.
Sure, it's in the journal, and it's just never been an impediment, because I grew up in such a very comically liberal place and progressive place, which I hope that soon the whole country will be.
Yeah.
And so there was just no relevance to the work I was doing playing other characters, because that's my life. Doesn't really have to do with.
But did it come up? Were people in interviews like looking for the?
Not really, surprisingly,
Gotcha
because I was
moment?
also playing like nerdy kind of social outcast type characters.
Non-sexual.
So you don't so you don't tend to get those like Crepes Hemsworth questions of like, who's your crush, and like, who are you dating, and like, I pretty much never had to even work around any questions. It just didn't come
So there
up.
was never like you and your manager and agent and parents sitting down and going, okay, there's some traction in this career. How do we want to handle this? Like, was it an issue or a non-issue?
Not at first. I mean, only when this album came around did we have like proper conversation, because I never wanted it to be its own event, because I think that that's perpetuating the wrong thing. I think representation is important, and I wanted to be open about, especially if I was going to start sharing myself, be open about it. But I really want to get past the point of like, there needs to be an out cover and like me like being like, here I am, I'm gay, like this is who I am.
But would
like,
this be the out?
Just it's me on the cover like this. That's what I would see in my dreams. Just that.
No, that's good to know. Okay.
So I felt like the kind of beautiful happy medium would be, and like just the very natural happy medium was just, if I'm gonna be transparent and purport to say that this album is my thoughts and my feelings and my experiences, then why would I go in and edit them for any reason? So just having that be integral to the actual piece, like to the art, then that's the best of both worlds.
So it didn't feel brave to you?
Not brave so much as just the right thing to do, and made the most sense and felt the most authentic. And then I think after the fact I realized how much representation still matters to people, and how I take that for granted. And
that we're not where you hope to be yet as a culture and a world.
100%. And just that young people need to see that. They need to see like a really, romantic, sweet, thing that has nothing to do with being oppressed or being hidden, that just happens to be two guys. Like, even when I saw Call Me By Your Name, which I saw 4 times, like, I just remember just being like crying so hard and being like, I definitely feel the sadness of them not being able to be together, but there's something else that's making me cry besides that. And just sitting with it and realizing there are so few movies I can remember growing up that are 2 men in a gorgeous, like, beautifully sophisticated shot love story that have nothing to do with the fact that it's 2 guys. It's either like they're both very sick, or they're both, you know, gonna have to keep it from their parents, or they're both. So, like, I just think having it be an integral, like, part of the tapestry, but not like the event of the whole tapestry is the move right now.
So the other thing that happened, okay, by the way, amazing. I really did love Call Me By Your Name. I really did think it was gorgeous, and had read the book. I do now, as a parent, like, I see things through a different lens, and I was like, oh, the both being men thing has nothing to do with it for me. I think Armie Hammer's a lot older than, like, there was this other thing of, like, actually, just as a parent, I'd like to speak to you, young man. My child has not graduated high school yet. But that's an aside, and that's not the point of that movie or this story. But I just want to say that I'd love to talk about that too, because I feel like
on the next episode
of Call Me By Your Name. At the same time that all this is happening, you went off. We had talked about different ideas you had of maybe what's next in terms of the world of television.
Yes.
You have in your head, which I'm not going to say out loud, an amazing idea for down the road.
That's true.
The best ever. And for a small fee, I won't share it with anybody. But I remember you kind of pitching me some stuff, and then you're like, actually, I can't do that idea right now because I'm meeting with Ryan Murphy and we have a whole other thing.
Yes.
For a minute, it was Barbara Streisand. Like, the cast list remains insane. It started insane, the rumors were insane about who was in it, and then the actual cast is incredible. But the thing, like, you know me, my whole thing is loyalty and community. So when I see the cast list, which is you and Gwyneth Paltrow and Jessica Lange and Laura Dreyfus, who plays Zoe in Dear Evan Hansen, who's the best person ever.
The best.
It signaled 2 things to the world. These 2 people really did love what we saw on stage was true. But also, like, I don't know if Laura had to audition or not. I'm sure anyone who saw her in that show understood her power and talent as an actor. But it's no small thing to go on to your next thing and bring along with you this person who was your compadre, co-star, Rock, during this show.
I mean, the most beautiful thing about it was that, I mean, I'm an EP on the show, so I got to be involved in the casting process, and I have a dear friend who's wildly talented. Her name is Zoe Deutsch, who plays,
also in it,
who's in the show as well, who, as soon as I read the character, I knew it was going to be Zoe, and that was the one that I felt like I had to kind of, like, be like,
guys,
you know,
trust me.
Just because they didn't know Zoe, but they knew Laura because Laura was on Glee. But in Laura's case, I didn't even know that she was going in. I didn't know that she, I mean, obviously.
So Ryan didn't tell you?
No,
okay.
I just get sent, like, when Alexa Fogel, the brilliant casting director, narrows it down to like 10 or so people, then we all get to watch and weigh in. And of course, there's Laura on there, and I was like, I thought she was brilliant, and I was like so excited at the idea of working with her, but I was like, I don't want to get in the way of this. I'm just going to let this play out, and if I need to say anything, I will. Didn't need to say a word. She, like, tested twice. Her test is literally inaudible because they're laughing so hard at her. They cast her, like, on the spot, and I didn't have to say a word. And it was like the most magical meant to be universe, just like, we're supposed to keep working together and
we're going to get to
spending time together.
Are you allowed to say what your relationship is?
Of course, yeah. So I play this kid who's a senior in high school, once again, although a very different senior in high school. He's very egomaniacal and self-serving and ambitious, and he wants to be president of the United States eventually, but right now of his senior class. And he has 2 really intense campaign managers, one of whom is Laura Dreyfus.
Wait, speaking of, like, a different kind of character, is this true that originally when the whole Dear Evan Hansen thing started that you were being considered for Jared?
Yes, way at the start when there was, like, the first reading, the impulse of the team was, like, for me to come, because I was playing Elder Cunningham at the time, which is a very much a Jared kind of a role. I mean, it's a little Evan too, but very much like the sidekick, kind of Benji and Pitch Perfect. So I think the initial thought was that, but then I think once they came and saw me in it and we met a little more, they were like, let's give him a shot at the guy.
just because this is purely, we don't even have to air this, but I'm just like, I'm obsessed with Jessica Lange.
Of course. You can air that all you want.
So the next 10 minutes is really just about Jessica Lange.
Great.
No, but like I remember seeing Tootsie for the first time, and then I'm like, wait, that's the woman from the movie Frances. Like the idea, and not to mention American Horror Story and a million other things she's done along the way. And then like, what? She's married to Baryshnikov. Wait, now Sam Shepard. Like the whole thing is like,
she's
if
fascinating.
I did have to be somebody else, and I don't want, I'm really happy with who I am.
You
but
should
if
be.
I did, so working with, and I've known Gwyneth for a million years just from living out in LA, and
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah,
She's the best.
a million years ago through Matt McGrath, who is the most, one of the best Hedwigs and one of the best people on the planet. They had done like a TV movie together with Gwyneth, and Matt was my roommate, and she made me lobster once. It was delicious. I was
it make
kosher.
your skin clear?
No, but I was kosher my whole life, and I was like,
That was your first trafe?
Yeah, that was my first lobster.
Was a lobster by Gwyneth
Also, we
Paltrow?
have to take this out because my parents are going to watch this.
No,
and
you
I
have
don't
to.
think
That's an amazing fact.
that's a
People
little
should
known
know
fact.
that.
She did.
That your first trafe ever was a lobster cooked for you by Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yes. It's delicious, by the way.
Of course.
And I mean, of course, I've never
And I'm sure
had
like
it
fixed your
again.
colon or something that we didn't even understand.
Is that what happens? Have you ever had a lobster?
No, I just mean she's got goop, so like everything she
Oh.
makes and recommends just like makes you luminous.
Well, this was even pre-Shakespeare in Love.
Oh,
So
whoa.
that's how
The roots.
There was no goop even there. Yeah, it was TV movies. She's done great.
She's done
as
good.
well.
Yeah.
So when you're on a set with a lobster chef like Gwyneth and
Tootsie's Jessica Lange.
and Tootsie's Jessica Lange, and you, what's happening?
I'm feeling mostly afraid. At least at the
Okay.
beginning, I was very scared. I mean, Ryan came to me with the project after he saw Evan Hansen and had so much blind faith in me and my ability to do this, and was going to build the whole piece around basically the showcase of this role for me. And
Yes.
I think it's similarly to the way that it worked out with Atlantic and the album. I think it's these people who I really admire and trust seeing things in me before I see them in myself that gives me the confidence to go and just jump in and do it.
And that's why they're amazing at what
Exactly.
they do.
That's why
right?
Ryan has a bevy of incredible actors waiting in line to work with him,
Yeah.
because he just has so much belief in you and wants only to make you seem the absolute best you possibly can, and like make everything around you look stunning and give you like delicious
Much
monologues
like
to chew into
my set.
and
I
art.
mean, my living room.
Exactly. And make you like change over time. It just really
Yeah.
knows what actors want to do. And so I think fear for the first like week or so, but then particularly with Gwyneth, she plays my mom, so we were able to be very intimate and person to person right away. And
I remember
felt very
you told me
comfortable.
when we talked before, like with Meryl, you were like, okay, I was like, you're watching, right? Like
Yes.
I'm working with Meryl Streep on this film, and you were like, I kind of watched her very delicately balance this line between being in character and not in character, right?
100%.
Like her energy was sort
so
of
inspired by that. Yeah, she was playing this. She was in Ricky and the Flash at the time. She
Yeah.
was playing this like rocker kind of chick, and we were doing a scene where she's like very melancholy and kind of like a little bit like hungover and just like. So between takes, like she wouldn't maintain the name Ricky, or she knows very much that she's Meryl Streep now, but she would stay in the kind of energy, body language of this woman, and like just kind of like put her feet up everywhere. And I just got very inspired by that for sure. And so now when there's a day when there's a scene that's particularly heated, then I find it hard to go all the way to like my chipperest self in between. But I also am not Daniel Day-Lewis, where I'm going to like introduce myself as Peyton Hobart and say like I live in Santa Barbara and I'm 18 years old. Like no, I know
yes,
who I am.
am. So do Jessica or Gwyneth, are there things watching them? Both of them have worked for so long in front of a camera. Are there any things that either
Tidbits.
of them, that you can share?
Totally. From Gwyneth, I think it's just being in the presence of like this really effortless, regal quality where she's just doesn't have to put a lot on and she doesn't have to push at all. She's just kind of sitting into the honesty of it and in her own light and in her own glory. And
is her character pleased with herself?
Yes, I mean she plays a really warm. She and I have kind of the most kind of soupy relationship of the whole piece, and then we're kind of what humanize each other. So there's a real maternal warmth and elegance to her that it's very perfect.
And right for her.
Exactly. And then from Jessica, I think she like doesn't consider herself a comedian. She's like, I'm not funny. I don't do funny. I was like, that's complete crock of shit. And then she does the scene, and for all intents and purposes, she's just committing and doing something incredibly authentically and real and making brilliant choices. She's not like doing jokes or trying to going for a laugh, but in her like brilliance of how she's committing, it's just hysterical. It's like so hilarious. And so I think particularly for this show, the tone of which is kind of a really specific, hard line to ride, because it is ultimately a dark comedy, but there's a lot of like underlying emotion and things that aren't necessarily like jokes written as jokes. It was super inspiring to me to watch her because she just relied on the character and the story, and then in doing that, truthfully, it was like I couldn't keep myself together. I was laughing so hard.
That's the best. Is there a Broadway show in your future that you already know about that we don't know about yet?
Nothing that's like concrete. I have dreams and things I would love to do. We workshopped Parade. We did a reading of Parade that Michael Arden, Alfred Ury and Jason Robert Brown about Leo Frank and Lucille Frank, and Michaela Diamond and I did a reading of that, and that Michael Arden directed, which was beautiful. It was for Roundabout, so maybe one day that would be great. I really loved that. I definitely, before I'm off this earth, would like to play both Bobby in Company and George in Sunny in the Park with George. Those are the two that I'm gonna hit, even if it's like, in my backyard. I will hit them both before time's up.
Will come.
Good.
I will come to your backyard. Is there a little known fact about you that you can share?
You don't already know?
There are no rules.
No rules. Okay, so one time I was at the mall in middle school in like 7th grade, and we went to the Discovery Channel store. I was with my friends, no parents.
Okay.
Because there's like those massage chairs, and we always would go sit in them. And they had like Halloween stuff there while we were there, and there was this big like cool glass cauldron that had like all this fog coming out of it. And I was like, oh, this is very wicked. So I went over to it and I was doing like Ella Kanam, and I was like being Elphaba and like living that truth.
Yeah.
And then I knocked the whole thing over and it shattered, and I got kicked out of the mall. And it was the most trouble I'd ever gotten in. And it was just really hard for me to then explain to my parents, like, this was not a warrant act of vandalism. Like, I was truly just trying to do wicked, like with a prop that was presented to me by the universe.
Yeah.
And in doing so, destroyed hundreds of dollars of property.
Yeah. Like at the time where you dying. You're dying inside.
No,
does someone come over and they're like, what happens? Like you knock the whole thing over, then what happens?
Security guy at the door was just like, you gotta go. We gotta go. Are your parents here? And we were like, no, we're here without parents.
We don't have parents.
We're the Lost
Please,
Boys. And then I just left. But I'm so socially anxious, and I get worried about ruffling any feathers, let alone like breaking something in the store. So I was just like red hot. But it was okay.
So
no one got hurt.
Before we go, because I'm very busy. I know you could stay here all day. I have things to do.
Should go play outside.
Totally. In a minute, we will. Yeah. Ben Platt, I love you so much.
I love you too.
I am just in awe of everything you do, but mostly I am in awe of the humility and kindness and generosity that moves along with you in life in this way that just really makes me want to weep, that there's so much goodness and talent.
Should we do that right now on camera?
Yeah, wait, I can do it. Do you remember in Broadcast News, Roll Again, when he can make himself cry?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so I'm about to do it.
Wow. Wow, oh my God. Oh, wow.
Do you see it? Are you really close? So sad. You're really
masterful.
Amazing. All right, I love you.
Love you too.
A-OK.